In the pre-dawn darkness of July 16, 1945, the New Mexico desert held its breath. In this vast, silent wilderness, a flash of blinding light shattered the calm, turning night into day in an instant. For those who witnessed the event, the ground trembled beneath their feet and the heat of the explosion kissed their skin, a moment of both wonder and foreboding that heralded the birth of the atomic age. This was the Trinity Test, a culmination of years of scientific curiosity, determination, and the heavy burden of ethical choice. At 5:30 a.m., in the Jornada del Muerto desert, the world was forever altered. In that explosive instant, a crater measuring nearly 5 feet deep and nearly 100 yards wide bore silent testimony to humanity's leap into an uncertain future. The towering mushroom cloud soared over 7.5 miles high, its ominous presence a stark reminder of the immense power unveiled that morning. For J. Robert Oppenheimer, the architect behind this scientific feat, the echoes of this event resonated deeply within his soul. Before that fateful morning, Oppenheimer was a scientist driven by the pursuit of knowledge. Now, in the wake of Trinity, he was transformed into a reluctant prophet, burdened by the weight of his creation. As he once recalled, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." These words, borrowed from ancient scripture, capture the magnitude of the change within him and the irreversible impact on the world that he helped to unleash. Beyond the headlines and the bomb's destructive aftermath, lay the inner turmoil of a man who knew that science, in its quest for truth, had also sown the seeds of its own moral reckoning. The story of Trinity is not merely the recounting of a scientific breakthrough, but also a chronicle of human ambition, ethical dilemmas, and unforeseen consequences. In the months and years that followed that inception moment, declassified documents, archival blueprints, and eyewitness testimonies have painted a picture of an era marked by both genius and grave responsibility. The Manhattan Project was not just a military endeavor, it was a journey into the unknown, one that blurred the lines between discovery and disaster. As the early light spread across the desert, scientists and military personnel alike experienced a surreal mix of triumph and terror. Observers, some stationed as far as 20 miles away, felt the intense heat of the explosion. The surrounding mountains, illuminated by a light far brighter than the midday sun, bore witness to a transformation both physical and symbolic. In that singular moment, nature itself seemed to acknowledge the monumental shift in human history. Yet beneath the brilliant flash and the roar of the bomb, a conflict raged within Oppenheimer. In his later reflections, he lamented that, in the wake of such unprecedented power, the scientific community had become bearers of a sin from which they could not escape. His own transformation from a curious seeker of truth into a man haunted by the ghosts of his creation speaks to the eternal conflict between progress and morality. As he navigated the corridors of power after the test, his steps carried the silent echo of both triumph and tragedy, a walk marked by the strange blend of pride and sorrow, as noted by his colleague, Isidore Rabi. That day, science had taken a leap forward, but at a deeply personal and ethical cost. The creation of the atomic bomb brought with it a cascade of consequences that would ripple through generations. The environmental and health impacts on local communities in New Mexico, particularly among Hispanic and Mescalero Apache families, became evident in the years that followed. Rare cancers and unexplained illnesses, passed silently across generations, spoke to the unseen and long-lasting scars of human ambition. Despite these tangible human costs, the full extent of the tragedy was often obscured by the glare of scientific achievement and political necessity. In the aftermath, Oppenheimer became a vocal advocate for nuclear disarmament and international control over atomic power. His impassioned speeches, laden with the weight of moral reflection, called for a re-examination of the path that humanity had chosen. Yet, these words of caution were met with fierce resistance during the fraught atmosphere of the Red Scare. The very man who had once illuminated the dark recesses of scientific potential now found himself under intense scrutiny. His security clearance was revoked, and his later years were marked by political persecution, a bitter irony for a man whose only crime had been to pursue the truth of nature's secrets. Deep in the archives, among faded documents and brittle photographs, lies the true tale of tragedy and transformation. The revelation of long-forgotten testimonies and first-hand accounts invites us to reconsider the price of innovation. The scientific leaps made during the Manhattan Project were not without consequence. They reshaped not only the physical world but also the moral landscape of modern society. In the rush to harness the forces of the universe, humanity was confronted with one burning question: at what cost does progress come? Throughout this journey, the legacy of Oppenheimer and the Trinity Test invites us to reflect on the dual-edged nature of discovery. On one hand, the achievement represented a pinnacle of human ingenuity, a breakthrough that propelled us into a new era of technological prowess. On the other, it exposed the deep fissures of ethical doubt, forcing scientists, politicians, and citizens alike to grapple with the responsibility of wielding such power. It is a story of awe and horror, a narrative threaded with both wonder and regret. As we examine the intricate details of that historic morning, we see not only the technical marvel of the bomb but also the intricate tapestry of human emotion. Behind every achievement lies the shadow of consequence, a reminder that every choice carries a weight that transcends time. In the archival footage and declassified reports, one perceives the solemn faces of those aware that their work was part of a turning point, a moment when light and darkness danced in a delicate balance, and the future was cast into uncertainty. In the shifting sands of the New Mexico desert, amid the remnants of a crater that once marked the Earth, lies a cautionary tale. The momentary brilliance of the explosion belied the slow, painful reckoning that would follow. Lives were irrevocably changed, communities deeply affected, and the ethical foundations of scientific endeavor forever challenged. Oppenheimer's profound remorse and his subsequent efforts to stem the tide of nuclear proliferation remind us that the pursuit of knowledge is inseparable from the responsibility it entails. Today, as we revisit the events of that unforgettable morning, we carry with us a legacy of reflection. The story of the Trinity Test is a mirror held up to our own era, a time when technological advancements continue to redefine the boundaries of what is possible, often outpacing our capacity to fully grapple with their implications. In a world where science and ethics are inextricably entwined, the lessons of the past resonate then as clearly as they do now. We see in Oppenheimer not only the genius of a brilliant mind but also the tender humanity of a man who bore the unbearable weight of his creation. His journey from hopeful innovator to anguished whistleblower is a testament to the eternal struggle between light and shadow, between the promise of progress and the moral imperatives that guide it. His contributions, marred by the specter of remorse, compel us to ask hard questions about the trajectory of human progress and the cost of unbridled scientific ambition. In the quiet aftermath of that transformative moment, the desert remains a silent chronicle of a world irrevocably changed by a single act of creation. The legacy of Trinity is etched not only in the annals of history, but also in the consciousness of every individual who dares to dream and to question the ethical dimensions of that dream. It reminds us that every breakthrough, every discovery, carries with it the potential for both light and darkness, and that the true measure of progress lies not solely in what we achieve, but in how we choose to live with the consequences of our choices. As the sun sets over the vast New Mexico horizon, casting long shadows over the land scarred by memory, we are left with a profound reminder, a reckoning with the past, and a warning for the future. The atomic age began with a burst of light in the darkness, but it also marked the beginning of a relentless search for redemption and understanding. In the brilliance of that fateful explosion, we glimpse not just the end of an era, but the perpetual journey of humanity, striving to reconcile the marvels of creation with the weight of responsibility. In the reflective silence that follows, the words of Oppenheimer echo, urging us to consider the true cost of progress and the moral implications that continue to shape our world. His legacy, intertwined with both triumph and tragedy, challenges us to examine our own relationship with science and the immense power it wields. The haunting beauty of the desert, the palpable tension in every archival frame, and the enduring questions of ethical responsibility form a tapestry that remains as relevant today as it was over 70 years ago. This is more than a story about a bomb, or a single moment frozen in time. It is a meditation on the human spirit, a call to confront the realities of our advancement, to weigh rigor against consequence, and to honor the lessons etched into the very soil of history. The journey of Oppenheimer, from the exhilaration of discovery to the deep wells of remorse, compels us to recognize that each step forward carries with it an obligation to remember the fragility of our future. Join us as we delve into the profound legacy of J. Robert Oppenheimer and the ethical dilemmas that continue to resonate in today's world.